Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back into the SFS channel. My name's Gavin, and today we're going to be doing some more mock drafting for the 2021 fantasy football season. Unfortunately, as we usually are on Saturday mock drafts, we are not joined today by any members of the community Discord or any subscribers here in general, as plain and simple, I've been super busy, super crammed, and I didn't know exactly when I'd be able to begin making this video or get things out for you. So I didn't want to be inflexible and make things tough on the group and have a lot of people inactive for that draft. So I decided to go out here and just use the ADP and the CPU auto draft here for today's episode. But tomorrow, on Sunday, you'll be seeing a new video come out. If you're watching this on Saturday, the release date of today's video, you still have time. Hop down the description. We've got an invite link to that free community Discord. That's how you can get access to joining these mock drafts. And if you get in there on time, you can be in Sunday's episode, which from here on out going forward, if you join a community mock draft, which again are free and open to any members of the community that would like to join, you'll be eligible for a draft guide giveaway. I'm simply using the display names on Sleeper that you all give me. I'm going to put them in a wheel, spin it, and if it lands on you, boom, you're a draft guide winner, and I'll at you on Sleeper and let you know you won and help you set up your account and get access to that kit. So hopefully that's something you want to participate in and get yourself hooked up with some extra help for this fantasy season. With that being said, let's hop right into things here, get this draft kicked off. As usual, a game time decision. We're going with the 110 draft pick. I pretty much just pop open my computer here, look at the draft board, and pick a pick that I haven't been using recently on the board. So here we go. The 110 pick. Decisions. If you've been around here, you know my half PPR draft strategy is to attack the running back group. Grab 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds is always my goal. Sometimes it's not possible, and usually it's not possible because I've got some members of the community Discord that are out here sniping my favorite players from me, and they know exactly where I want to go on the board. So I think it might be Aaron Jones' time. He is my top-rated running back on the board at this moment, and I would hate to miss out on him. I'm really hoping Travis Kelce will fall down to me at the 2-4, but I think it's rather unlikely he would ever even fall past the 2-2. So, man. Yeah, we're going to go Aaron Jones here, lock up that RB1 spot. And, yep, there goes Kelce on the bend. I figured he wouldn't last that long for me as much as I would have liked him to. And you know what? So my typical thought here would be to bounce right back into the RB room, but Austin Eckler's gone. I love his pass catching ability, the upside he has with Justin Herbert in that offense. He's gone. And Joe Mixon's a bit scary to me. Antonio Gibson's more of a middle second round pick. I really like his upside. I think he's a really awesome fantasy prospect just because of his versatility and his tool set, what we saw from him last year. But I think I'm going to have to go wide receiver here. At this point, with there already being 3 receivers off the board, but also so many running backs, I mean, obviously those are the positions that are being picked early. I just feel it's a better investment of value here to take my wide receiver 4 off the board, DeAndre Hopkins. I think there should be at least 1 to 2 quality names left on the table when the picks come back to me that I can hopefully take advantage of here. Let's see, before they go off the board, I'm thinking, you know what, if I could snatch up, I mean, we're in the 3rd round here, David Montgomery or Chris Carson would be just fine by me. Yikes, we barely hang on there, and David Montgomery will fall to us here. Let's just make sure there's not any better options. Waller would have been awesome, but it was a stretch to have him fall to the late 3rd to me. I wouldn't mind a Darrell Henderson in the top of the 4th. I'm not a big Josh Jacobs or Miles Sanders fan, and apparently, well, I actually really love both of their play styles, but as far as fantasy football goes, Miles Sanders has been reportedly splitting touches evenly with Boston Scott, which is a little bit concerning to me, especially considering how shaky of a situation that is off the bat. And then Josh Jacobs just has no pass-catching upside. Kenyon Drake's going to snatch some touchdowns from him. It's just not a great situation that I feel like I'd like to be in. Looking back at the table here, I could go Mike Evans at the top of the 4th. Not my first choice. CeeDee Lamb, I would also feel excellent about drafting right now. It is a few picks early, but at the end of the day, being that's half PPR, man, I have to weigh my decision here, though, kind of based off of Dak Prescott and less of what I think of CeeDee Lamb, because I think that if I get a fully healthy Dak, no questions asked there, I'm going CD with this pick. And I think that that's a very reasonable choice considering the magnitude of a ceiling he has. And he's actually getting kicked out of the slot this year and is moving outside. Gallup will go back in the slot. But I think I'm going to play it safe here with Darrell Henderson. Until we learn more about Dak Prescott's shoulder, he's getting a second MRI. Maybe the results will be back out by the time that I post this episode. But it's nerve-wracking because wide receivers' value are so tied up in their quarterback and their quarterback's production, their play. So I would hate to invest in a CeeDee Lamb and then find out that, Dak's baseball injury for his shoulder is something more than we think, and it really impacts his season as a whole. I mean, shoulder injuries can linger and bother you, and obviously a quarterback, that's the mechanism that throws the ball for you. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm just fine with how things played out here. I'm not going to talk too much about that Darrell Henderson pick. It's a safe floor investment, I would say. It's a very great offense, a very great offensive head coach. I think Matt Stafford helps them trend up in pretty much every category offensively there. And Darrell Henderson doesn't really have a huge hole in his game. He's not an elite runner for sure, but he's definitely a player that can get the job done, and I feel very good taking 3 RBs in the first 4 rounds. I'm not some people will flat out tell you, draft RB the first 4 or 5 rounds, I think, or even the first 3 rounds straight, and that's a little bit ridiculous in some situations. Like, it played out beautifully right here with Harris, Dobbins, and Taylor, but that doesn't often happen. And honestly, why did they pick Jonathan Taylor at the 1-3? That's a bit questionable. But nonetheless, give me Tyler Lockett. His upside is punch for punch as good as anyone's in fantasy. I've talked about and compared kind of the chemistry that he has with Russell Wilson to that of Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson back in their day. Lockett and Nelson are very different players, but the chemistry and the connection they did have with their quarterbacks, or do currently have in the case of Lockett and Wilson, is what separates them. And although Tyler Lockett's not really respected as a top 10 wide receiver by really anyone out there, he is still an incredibly productive ceiling play for fantasy lineups. Let's see here. Right now, Brandon Ayuk is my top option. I'm just trying to kind of look at the landscape here. I've already demonstrated the Lockett-Wilson stack here on the channel. I think we're just going to go 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers here in the first 6 rounds. Not loving the tight end group. Not feeling too attached to Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, who are the top 2 quarterbacks left on the board. Not only based off of ADP, but my rankings also had them rated such way. Let's see. After that, I believe Tom Brady's my next rated guy. Let's see what happens. But Ayuk has been reportedly the favorite target of every 49ers quarterback in camp, which I think is rather telling. And they didn't say George Kittle. They didn't say Deebo Samuel. They said Ayuk every time for every QB. He's the most complete player there. I mean, yes, George Kittle is the better player at his position. He's a dominant blocker, dominant receiving threat. But at the wide receiver position, it's not questioned. He is the more complete player than Deebo Samuel. He's just as good nearly at the line of scrimmage on those screen passes, the wide receiver run game, and he is even better on downfield routes and intermediate routes as well. So give me Ayuk all day, every day. He finished last season on quite the tangent, so I think he should pick up kind of where he left off here, and who knows what will happen if we can get good old Trey Lance in the mix there. It could be some fireworks there in San Francisco. Oh, man, do I do it? I think we do. I'm going to pull the trigger and go a little early on Trey Sermon there. I feel comfortable in the 4 picks that went after him. I don't regret going him a little bit earlier than my next wide receiver up on the board. Look, giving me a 4th running back for my roster with the level of upside that Trey Sermon has. Back-to-back 49ers picked off the board, but this is a great fantasy offense to invest into. Kyle Shanahan will make fantasy players or make relevant fantasy players in this offense. We've seen Ayuk do it with, Nick Mullins. Like, he is very, very, very good at what he does. Trey Sermon will get into that mix, into that committee, and he'll make a name for himself. He'll make some noise back there if Raheem Mostert goes down. Trey Sermon might just put up top 12 numbers every week if he finds himself in that situation. He's bolstered himself up the depth chart so far this offseason. Looking at the wide receiver group right now is kind of where I'm headed towards next. 5, 4, 3, 2. We'll go with a safer pick at wide receiver. I do love Curtis Samuel, and I would have loved to go with that pick there. But I just picked him a couple episodes back. I have talked a lot about Brandon Cooks this offseason as well, so it's not like he's not getting any shine. But I think that he has a better chance to lead his team in targets, whereas I think Curtis Samuel's kind of the clear B option to Terry McLaurin. They're both very, very talented players, separated at a good level, but Samuel's very dynamic. But I think that Cooks has a clearer path to the number one role in his offense as opposed to potentially a Curtis Samuel. Okay, this is an interesting pick here. So I'm really considering going Ryan Tannehill and giving myself a very underrated quarterback option, and I'm glad I went Trey Sermon because now the running back room is very, very bare. Not loving the wide receivers, so the range I like is kind of down the board a little bit farther. We're going to fade the tight ends right now because I think we're past the point where it's worth investing capital in the top 10 rounds into a tight end. What I usually say is, hey, look, if you make it past the first 6 rounds and those top 6 tight ends are gone, I'm talking Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Darren Waller, TJ Hawkinson, just wait. There's no better floor options coming the rest of the board, and almost all of the players, you can make a case why they have a good fantasy ceiling. Almost all of them. I kind of did this the other day, but you could say, oh, Tyler Higbee. Well, Gerald Everett just left town. Matt Stafford threw the ball a lot to TJ Hawkinson last year. Okay, sure, valid argument. Mike Gesicki. Oh, he makes a lot of nice contested catches. He scores touchdowns. All right, cool. I think there's also very easy counter arguments to a lot of these, and those were very watered down, weak arguments I just gave you. But I'm not relatively high on either of those players, and I could tell you why I like them. Same thing with Irv Smith, Hunter Henry, and Adam Trautman. Gronk as well. So, tick-tock. I'm about to get auto-picked. Boom, Corey Davis. Take that, computer. I should have increased my draft clock. Aha. If the viewers of my videos had $1 for every time I said that, I should increase my draft clock, they'd probably be making more money than I am off YouTube. So, I probably say it on a daily basis. It's a frequent issue here for me. I often run out of time because, as you see, I only have 60 seconds. The main reasoning behind that is when I have 11 other of you guys in here trying to draft with me, I don't want the draft to take 4 hours, so I try and speed things up, and then I forget to change the settings back when it's just me in here, and then we end up going rapid fire and having these episodes done in 25 minutes. So don't quote me on that. We might go a bit longer on that today. We'll see what happens. It was a rather long intro. So I do like that Corey Davis pick there. I think that it was between him and Michael Pittman, not Michael Gallup. It kind of stings to see Darnell Mooney off the board there. His ADP is rising, which is fair. Obviously fair. I've been so high on him this offseason, and I've been absolutely loving drafting him here. So it's no shame to the fantasy community that we're drafting him early and often. I'm not going to get fooled by, I don't know. You could. I was gonna go Russell Gage, and then I decided to just go for it because I figured I could get both players on the back end, and I was afraid that Aguilar would be gone. Boom, 2 sleeper. Actually, it's 3 back-to-back sleeper wide receivers I absolutely love. I think Davis has a fair shot for the Jets back in the 10th round. There, we've been going kind of fast here to lead that team in targets, production, yards, touchdowns, all that stuff. He's got a shot. Maybe Elijah Moore's a dark horse and definitely a very talented player to do so. But Corey Davis has his shot as well. He's got a very fair chance. Nelson Aguilar, I think there's a lot of excitement. We've talked a lot about the Patriots over the last 48 hours with Mac Jones, that preseason game. It was a lot of dink and dunk Danny, but it was fun to watch. And, it's exciting to see him come in and be successful. He was my lowest grade of the 5 quarterbacks in the first round of the 2021 class. But that's kind of besides the point. That was a loaded group, probably a historic class, maybe looking back 5-10 years from now. I don't know. If Mac Jones makes things work in New England, I think that's kind of the perfect situation for him, and I'd love to see him succeed. So if he can get on the field, throw some deep passes to Aguilar, and get that connection kind of buzzing here down the stretch of this fantasy season, help us win some leagues after seeing what Aguilar could do with the Raiders last year, that might just be a nice combo. I'm going to dip into the running back group once more. Give me one of the best handcuff options this year, Chuba Hubbard, one of the more explosive rookies who was picked rather later in the draft this season, but backing up CMC, his explosiveness and play style is much more comparable to CMC than Mike Davis was last year. Mike Davis did a fine job, don't get me wrong, but he, in the open field, was not a big threat. He's a pretty slow runner, and that's not Hubbard. He is an electrifying player. He kind of goes down easy at first contact, but he is a smaller back. I mean, what is he, barely over 200? Let's check him out. Yeah, 201. All right. I was going to say, if it tells me 220, I'm going to tell you you're lying. So stop lying. But they didn't try and pull that on us. I was going to say, because if they tell us Ramondre Stevenson's 230, and I just anticipated for some reason that it would say like 215 for Hubbard after I, of course, said he was 200. But I was dead on the money, 201. Nonetheless here. So we get our fifth running back. I'm feeling really good about the quarterback position. The wide receiver group is looking great right now. Maybe we dip right here. It's a little bit of a interesting pick since he's not technically a starter. But I have had my eye on lately Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's having a nice camp, showing some dynamic ability, a well-rounded skill set. And I think that I said this before. He could come in and play the Robert Woods-esque role for this Jared Goff-led offense. And obviously, just because he came from the McVay coaching tree, that doesn't mean they're going to use all their players the same, run the same plays and styles of sets. But Goff's a vet now. We know what his play style is, what his strengths and weaknesses are at this point. And I would say his strengths were bootleg, getting the ball out quick in the screen game, and play action passes. And so Dan Campbell would be a fool not to bring that into his offense, whatever he sees that looking like. And a Robert Woods-esque player has a lot of involvement and usage for that purpose. So we're going to take advantage of a defense here right now just to make, well, okay, we're on the bend. There's really no point. We'll wait. The Dolphins or Denver, I'd be fine with either of them. Heck, I'd even take the Browns, even though I'm not a huge Browns defensive fan this year. For fantasy football, I still think that their pass rush gives them enough to be excited about. I love to see Bryan Edwards' ADP rising that high. As a matter of fact, we're going to draft him. We're going to draft him over Sammy Watkins, Emmanuel Sanders, and John Brown, who I do have starred, and we might as well take that away right now. Because Bryan Edwards is the man in my eyes. After hearing what John Gruden had to say about him, comparing him to T.O., that's pretty lofty for a second-year player who barely played last season. But the Raiders depth chart tells the story to be told here. I mean, John Brown's currently the most veteran name and presence in the room, but he's also not a starter. He is the fourth-string wideout for this team, and Bryan Edwards is going to come in here, I think. And if Henry Ruggs still can't run routes, and we all know what Hunter Renfrow is out of the slot, he's nothing fancy, nothing exceptional. He's not going to be a world beater and score a bunch of points. He's pretty much a 4 for 60 type player, like is his upside. 4 for 60 and a touchdown is a good day for Hunter Renfrow out of the slot, but nonetheless, here we got to pick a defense, end this thing off. We'll keep talking after the draft's over, though. Give me my Dolphins. They got Xavier Howard back and corralled. They figured out how to rework his deal slightly and make him happy enough to come back. Or he wasn't holding out, actually. He was professionally going about his business, as he said. But he obviously wanted out. But that's reportedly not the case any longer, as him and Brian Flores had a talk and they had a little come-to-Jesus meeting. So hopefully that'll work out. I think that's a big asset to that defense. Get a lot of picks, a lot of turnovers, a lot of takeaways. And, I talked about this last video. The Broncos are kind of a sleeper defense if you want to pick a defense very, very late. It's a good pass rush. You give me Bradley Chubb. I think Shelby Harris is still there, not to mention Von frickin' Miller. And then you get Bryce Callahan, Pat Surtain, Kyle Fuller on the back end with Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons. Jeez, let's draw a blank there. That's a dang good group. Maybe they're weak at linebacker, but man, they're not weak in the pass rush or the back end anymore. So a lot of good stuff to see there. I was talking about Bryan Edwards and that Raiders offense. We'll take a peek at the team here, and then we'll kind of go back about things. And it appears that I did not draft a tight end, which is definitely okay by my standards. So let's address that very quickly. Let's see. Can you look at the players who are still available? Because literally, look at the players going here. So if you take a peek, all of these players are the same. And it's justifiable to me that, like I said, once you get past these names in the draft board, boom, the 5-8 is where the last one of my worthwhile picks went. Why feel the need to draft a tight end? If you've got an IR spot in your league, if you've got some sort of way to free up a roster space, maybe you just want to wait it out with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Bryan Edwards, figure out which one of them is going to start, and then cut one if you don't get a IR marker in your leagues and don't get some sort of way to make a roster move. That's fine. Maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't start right away. You let him go for a bit, ride it out with your vets. Maybe he comes back on strong and you release a vet who's underperforming. I don't think that, not drafting a tight end is such a big deal at this point. If you're drafting at this point in the offseason, maybe if you get your league drafting post-Labor Day, okay, yeah, maybe you want to fill that spot out. But had I drafted a TJ Hawkinson, obviously I'm fine with these guys at the top of the board, but even Dallas Goedert and Noah Fant here are not names I'm super fond of. And after those two, it's a complete smoke show, and you predicting the tight end crop is a disaster. And I wish it would show me what names are available on the board right now so I could just talk about some more sleepers here. Let's see. Can I do this? Apparently not. Oh, this is my cue. All right, so that's a bummer. Here, I got it, guys. Watch this. Boom. Remove player. Now I can fill it and see the players on the board. Haha. All right. So look at the names available here right now. You have the potential of still picking up, and yes, Blake Jarwin may or may not be the starting tight end for the Cowboys. That's yet to be seen. He's still in a camp battle with Dalton Schultz, but we saw each of them have nice performances last season. He's still got upside. The argument is still there to be had. Zach Ertz, yes, we all anticipate Dallas Goedert's going to lead the team in targets at the tight end position, but it doesn't feel all that long ago that he was a fantasy phenom, set the record for most receptions in a season. I'm not saying this is an ideal situation to be in, but I feel better about waiting out and taking my chances on the tight end spot since I passed early. Again, if you want to take a top 6 tight end, do it, because that's going to give you a positional advantage. But I had already missed out on that stretch. I had already lost the opportunity to make that a strength of my team, that I can find other names to be had here. Another one, if you want to look at a Hayden Hurst, people automatically dismiss him because Kyle Pitts is in town. Trust me, this Falcons team is going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. That doesn't mean Hayden Hurst is going to be getting a large volume of passes thrown his way, but he will be involved in this offense, and he will be utilized in the passing game. So he finished as a top, let's see, what did he finish as? You see there, tight end 9 in PPR last season, tight end 10 in standard scoring last year. He was no slouch. He was definitely a starting caliber tight end. Maybe the difference between your tight end 8 and your tight end 20 is really not that astronomical. When you look at a guy like Robert Tonyan, who finished as tight end 3 but only caught 52 passes. Travis Kelce, let's just look at him for a second. How many passes did he catch? And he only finished 2 places higher than him. I might not tell you his collective season numbers. Or does it? Targets, receptions. Okay, here we go. 105. So he over doubled Robert Tonyan and had the same amount of touchdowns as him, but they still finished within a two space gap at their respective positions. So the tight end spot is one of the weirdest ones in fantasy football. There's literally so many ridiculous ways to go about things. So Dalton Schultz is still here. So theoretically, there is still I see 2 starting tight ends available on the waiver wire still. And I don't anticipate that I would anticipate a team in your league would drop a tight end rather than add another reserve to their roster, because plain and simple, I don't think it's worth rostering more than one tight end in your fantasy leagues, especially if you went out and taken a flyer on one. Because as I've said in previous videos, if you're taking a flyer on a Jared Cook, a Gerald Everett, a Cole Kmet, a Austin Hooper, there's a very real chance those guys hit. But if they don't, cut them and move on to the next guy. The tight end spot is one of the easiest to stream. We saw Tonyan and Logan Thomas come out and be top 10 options at the position last year off the waiver wire. Those were not players we were drafting. So, yes, I do need to address this. If this was a real league and we were heading into the season, yeah, I'm going to pick up a tight end because I'm not going to roll into week 1 without a starter there. But my point being here, you can sit on this, weigh things out a little bit, and potentially get yourself a quality option off the waivers within the first couple weeks of the year. Or I could execute a trade because I've already found the depth and the other players at other positions I like more that I could use to my advantage to pick up a guy that maybe another team values less. Pat Freiermuth, another option here. Both him and Eric Ebron are available. One of them will be the starter. They're another team that likes to run 2 tight end sets on occasion. O.J. Howard was having a pretty clean season before he injured himself last year. Dawson Knox was supposed to be a big-time sleeper last year. You can get Timothy Touchdown Tebow if you want to go that route. You get the point. I ranted and rambled. Yes, we didn't draft a tight end today, but at the end of the day, there is a lot of videos that have kind of led up to this. If I could have grabbed honestly the breaking point here was that I waited to draft defense until the last round. If Cole Kmet was sitting here at the 15-10, that would have been my draft pick. However, he's gone, so I take Bryan Edwards here. I mean, my top tight end available would have been Blake Jarwin. I feel better investing into my wide receiver group. I like Gerald Everett. He's gone. It really, yes, it was the fact that I had to pick defense or tight end. Which one did I not want to invest into? And both of those positions are easily streamable. So a lot of ways to go about things. Ryan Tannehill, the quarterback of today's video. Aaron Jones, David Montgomery as our top 2 running backs. And then Darrell Henderson there. DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, loving that NFC West wide receiver pairing. Add in Brandon Ayuk to the fray there. And dang, we've got ourselves 3 boys from that division. Cooks, Davis, Aguilar, Gage, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Edwards, all receivers I'm crazy about this year in terms of their sleeper value and their upsides based off of their draft positions. And then Chuba Hubbard, kind of the odd man out as my handcuff rookie running back. Just in the off chance something happens to CMC, I've got a bit of an insurance policy there and some reassurance that I can find some production if another one of my players go down. So one more time, it's totally feasible. If you're drafting here in early August, if you're watching this video later on, you should probably, like closer to the season, as I said earlier, you should probably just square away all of your positions right away. But if I hit this convert to a league button and I actually play this out with real people, I wouldn't feel all that gross about my tight end spot because, again, for the final time, I'm not really feeling better about the players that went off the board here in this territory where I was already fading them than I am the few names that are still feasible starters on the waiver wire. So it's one strategy, probably not something you'll see too often, but again, it's something you can work on in your league. So thank you all so much for watching. If you're new around here, make sure you click that subscribe button, head down and give today's video a like. And if you're new around here, again, you need to drop down and click that community invite link to the Discord and jump in some of these mock drafts with me. We'll be live streaming these soon potentially, or if not, the video will still be up offline for your own enjoyment whenever you'd like. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.